Hey, it's Paulie. Joining me in Rock and Roll Oblivion is Oliver Ackermann, founder of Death by Audio, makers of sought-after guitar pedals for the discerningly noise-minded, and the legendary New York City performance space of the same name. He brings his comrades in A Place to Bury Strangers to Austin, Texas once again this weekend for the 2019 edition of Levitation. I'm very excited to get to see you guys after you guys have been a band for like 15 or something years now. And
yeah, something like that.
I live in one of those places where you have to travel to get to the show. I'm real far away from any sort of scene happening. So I always miss you guys. And this year, before they even announced the Levitation lineup, I was like, I'm going to Levitation. I don't care who's at it. And when they said that you guys were going to be there, I'm like, oh, yes, here it is, bucket lister for me.
Oh, awesome. Well, cool, man. That's great.
So you guys have played several times, right? You're probably even going back to Austin Psych Fest, right?
Yeah, definitely. We played at, like, the power plant out in the woods. We played when it was on the ranch. And, yeah, the shows are always really cool. You know, been long-time friends with those Black Angels guys. And, you know, tons of those bands that always play that stuff. So it's always kind of cool to see a bunch of friends and everything.
So for a newbie like me, what would you say I should expect or prepare myself for in going into all this?
Well, it's just going to be a lot of shows, and like Austin is just kind of such a welcoming place with lots of good food and tons of people just kind of running all over the place. So I would say, you know, if someone asks you, hey, do you want to go down the street, check out this barbecue, just say yes.
Right. Yeah, man. It looks like I'm going to have to pace myself, too. I'm going to be one of the journalists and photographers covering the thing, and they were like, which shows do you want to cover? And I'm like, I want to cover all of them. But there's just no way. I had to make some hard decisions of who I was going to not see, really.
But, I mean, you know, luckily all of that stuff is, like, right around the same vicinity, so you can just kind of, you know, if you're not digging one show, you can just go next door to the other one.
I've never seen anything of you. So you talked about the guys with the Black Angels, and, of course, you're going to be doing the show on Sunday with Christian Bland, and Alex is playing a solo show, and the Black Angels are going to be playing with John Cale. Is there any sort of like collaboration? Do you guys ever get up together, or do you just do your own thing and, you know, as you sit back as a fan and watch them too? Yeah, I mean, you know, we've been on the road with them, toured with them, and had them come join us, and we've joined them on stage. And, you know, I kind of like doing that sort of stuff, because if you're traveling around and playing show after show every day, you know, you want to kind of make things as sort of crazy and chaotic and, you know, creative as possible. So, you know, any ways you can kind of mix that up, like, really help sort of things. And I think that's when you kind of even, you know, spontaneously discover something that's, like, really cooler than anything you would have planned to do. And I know you have the new pedal, the Phosphene Scream, that was announced back in September that I guess you and Alex and Christian, did you guys like collaborate on this thing, or who was the impetus of the project? Yeah,
I mean, we all hopped on the phone. They just told me about all sorts of crazy ideas and stuff they had, you know, rattling around in their heads of what they kind of wanted some pedal to do. And I made two different pedals. One was kind of more Christian's idea, and one was more Alex's idea, and sent them both to them. And they were both like, oh my gosh, they're so crazy and so awesome. And then so we just picked one of them and turned that into the Phosphene Scream.
And that was announced back in September for, like, pre-order. It's out and, like, available now, right?
Yeah, I mean, they sold out, so it's like...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think they're only either going out to people or, you know, we're still actually even just finishing the last batch of them over here right now, so we'll be sending those out to those people, and then they'll be sending them out. But, yeah, if you missed out, I guess maybe you can, you know, try to dig into some UPS driver's car and try to take one out for yourself.
Right. Yeah, man, that was like the next thing I was going to ask you, because it was like limited to like 420 units or something like that. And I was like, man, those are going to go quick. I had no idea they were already gone. Wow.
I didn't know if you never know if they are or they aren't. But, yeah, people, you know, went crazy for it and stuff. So there you go.
Now, you said they both kind of had ideas that you incorporated into it. What's like the final sound? What did you decide that had to be there for this particular pedal?
It had to be like this kind of reverb, which could sort of do everything, was one thing that Alex was really kind of adamant about, like one that you could use on like a snare drum or be a crazy huge cavern and sound like slow dive or something. So it does that, and then it also has this like cool delay echo that sort of also turns into this wild filter, and kind of the knobs sort of, each one of them sort of does like a few things at a time. So it sort of, just does all these sorts of crazy psychedelic sounds. And a lot of the sounds that I like always love and have, kind of spent forever hunting around for like certain, crazy, weird old pedals from the 60s and stuff. And I always thought were cool sounds that nobody would really use that much. So I decided to like incorporate some of that in there. And it's kind of a sort of crazy psychedelic multi-effect.
What are some of your favorite older pedals?
I really like those, like the Maestro pedals. Those ones, I think they were all designed by Bob Moog, but they're like those big, huge triangle ones.
Right. Yeah.
And like the fuzz and the phase sound so insane, or like all those kind of like neutron pedals were really incredible too. A lot of that old electro-harmonic stuff, they kind of just always would go sort of everywhere, and lots of those delays, even though maybe they break kind of easy, sound so sick. The color sound stuff, I think those fuzz pedals are just freaking insanely awesome. And I don't know, all that old stuff I think has some sort of kind of charm where you can, lots of times, like, it's maybe become like misbiased or something. And so now, like, when you roll the slider all the way up or turn the knob all the way, maybe it kind of glitches out and doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to intended. But those are sometimes some of the most like coolest and interesting and organic sounds.
Right,
I like that stuff.
Yeah, so many artists say like the magic is in the mistake,
For sure.
Or what just happens. It happens,
Yeah, otherwise a computer should be, write pop songs and everyone should be listening to that.
Sure. One of the things I'm excited about is getting to photograph you guys, and I'm ready for the challenge because you guys are notorious for playing in some pretty dimly lit spaces. So
sure,
I'm curious to see what I'm going to get as far as light show and photographs and everything. How much control do you put into the lighting and the atmosphere that goes into the show?
We'll be flying with all sorts of stuff, like smoke machines and video projectors and strobe lights and stuff. As much as we can kind of possibly bring where you don't maybe like hurt yourself carrying too much stuff, I always try to bring. I feel like, those, I kind of want to sort of make some sort of mood where it seems like, you're in something that's kind of out of control. And, if you can kind of bring that sort of element of like, playing in an alleyway or something to a venue and, kind of cross that path, I think that's sort of what is kind of, I don't know, those kind of shows that I went to when I was younger and, really kind of like blew my mind when, and so if you can kind of bring that sort of, feeling and mood to some place, then, we'll try to do it.
I hear you on bringing the gear. I'm flying out of here tomorrow, and I'm going to try to pack, all my cameras, lenses, laptop, and probably, the clothes on my back is what I'm coming to Austin with. Sure. So, yeah. Do you run into problems traveling with the stuff? I know you've got a pretty enviable, at least, travel schedule with Berlin and then China coming up pretty soon. Yeah. Are you able to, how much stuff are you able to take on like an overseas jaunt like that?
It all depends on kind of when what you're doing, and like, we even get like real crafty and creative where we like leave lots of equipment and stuff at certain people's houses in different places. And like, we even got like, amps and stuff that live in warehouses in Europe and whatnot. But if you have to, if it has to be small and light, like we'll, being someone who builds gear, and we build even sometimes like amplifiers and lots of other things that we do and modify guitars. And, we've kind of been doing stuff for a while. So you figure out ways to do something that's creative and crafty and works for, what it is. On the last trip we went over to Asia, I built this like really small pedal board, and I had this little teeny wah pedal on it that I built, and it was like maybe the third show or something like that, it like broke and was just always on for the whole show. So there was no way to take it apart at the show, so it just was a show with nonstop wah.
I like it. I like it. Are you talking about, it was Beijing like about 2 years ago? You went over there with the New Noise China group? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, totally. But yeah, that wasn't in China, that particular show. That was like in the Philippines. But
okay,
yeah,
right on.
That was, but it was like such a cool, crazy show. It was like in the basement of this Chinese restaurant, and like all these kids who were coming to the show just like brought their own amplifiers so that we could be as loud as possible. And so it was just like this super chaotic, crazy show, and with the wah on the whole time, it only added to it all. So it was good.
The whole like the China thing too, man. That really, I don't know. I guess I'm like the typical Westerner. I don't really have the right impression of China to be even thinking that they're like even going to be into that kind of stuff. But it seems like there's a really like a big scene there, or relatively big, I guess.
I mean, it's like the people who are going to be coming to our show are not the people who are like, excited about the policies that are going on in the government right now. So they're the kind of people who would be like standing up to kind of like, represent the people and, try to be kind of doing something like positive and proactive in the community. So, I kind of get that, where sometimes I think like, oh man, do we even really want to kind of like support this sort of stuff? But, I don't think there's going to be any like, government people kind of coming to the show, enjoying themselves to see a place to bury strangers. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's cool that you've
not really supporting it.
Yeah.
But it's still scary, that stuff. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
Those
right.
kind of situations and stuff. So, yeah, for sure.
It's cool that you've built up these relationships with people around the world that are kind of like the equipment squad when you touch down. Do you get a lot of time to kind of explore the culture of the places you go? Because you travel so extensively.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we try to, and that's part of the reason to try to go to some of those cool places. If you can get the opportunity to travel and, see some other cultures and, what other people are into and stuff, it's just really like eye-opening and pretty incredibly amazing. And, there's kind of just awesome, really cool, excited people who are doing really fantastic, great stuff everywhere, really. So, if you get the chance to travel and you get the chance to explore the areas, we really try to, but sometimes you just like fly into some place and then you have to fly right out, or maybe you've like, you've been on the road for weeks and you're just like sick of the dog and you got to stay in bed. But if you can, you want to hang out with people and, it's pretty awesome.
Where are you now? Where are you going to be coming into Austin from for Levitation?
Right now I'm in Queens at our warehouse at the Death by Audio space, and we're just going to be flying down to Austin coming up and hanging there for a few days and seeing a bunch of shows and, yeah, living it up.
I think Repinned is probably the newest material that's available for you guys, the remix album, which is very cool. So. Is there anything, I'd read some stuff online that some people had said you were working on some stuff and there was like an album in the works. Is that a fact? And is anything imminent from you guys as far as a new release?
I mean, yeah, we've definitely been working stuff, kind of like a lot and trying to, write as many songs as possible and working on all that stuff. I've been working day and night on all of that, but I kind of like don't really like to say anything's ready until it's done. So still kind of in the process, I've got a whole bunch of music recorded and some really cool directions and stuff, but I still don't know exactly what it's going to be. So we'll have to see. Usually,
how long does it take to formulate something like that? When I guess what I'm trying to ask is, when will you know? When does something feel right to you? Is it what has to happen inside to make it be like, oh, this is it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I guess it's kind of different sort of for every kind of, album that we've done, but we kind of work slow, I guess, in some ways. I like to sort of like go kind of overboard and then kind of scale back on things, and I think that that's like a good way that we can, there's like tons of stuff that we've never ever released and will probably never come out, but I think it's kind of, kind of lets you sort of sift through and sort of do something that like really actually like feels right and is finished. But as far as when it's done, I don't know. I think maybe we'll have a better idea once it's like it starts to turn into real winter around here in New York. Then we'll be kind of like forced to stay indoors and finish it
for the winter. Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be people salivating about he said there was a bunch of stuff that will never be released.
Yeah, there you go.
You'll be like Tupac. There'll be albums coming out decades after.
Hey, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me go back, too. I wanted to ask you, and I'm not really sure how to pronounce her name because I've never heard anybody say it. I've only seen it written online. Ebru Yields?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Am I saying it right?
Ebru Yields, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really liked she did like a photo essay of you guys just recently and is publishing it as sort of like an expanded zine. And I really liked those photographs. I was wondering who are some of your favorite, maybe not just contemporary photographers, but some of the maybe rock and roll photographers from the past whose work you
Man, I don't know. I really like this guy, like Clem Smitzer, I think is his name. And he's incredible. And he's like a photographer now, but he's also taken photos of, I don't know, just about anybody you could possibly think of. There's this other guy called Weird Hours, but that's not his name. His name's Kevin. He's a cool dude. But I don't know exactly. And then, do you know Pune?
Yes. Well, not personally, but I know, of the,
Yeah, her photos are absolutely incredible and so sick.
Yeah. She just went on tour with Courtney Barnett, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I've been following her.
Her stuff is incredible. There's really a lot of really good photographers. I'm just not that good at remembering all of their names. But if I saw them somewhere, I would give them a big hug.
Right. So. Yeah.
Maybe that's the worst, but right now we're in a great time for a lot of incredible photographers. So it's a pretty cool time to be.
Oh, yeah. And you seem to be really like up there in the New York City area is like the epicenter for cool concert photography because the shows are wild and they're always packed.
For sure. Yeah, totally.
We can get some bands down here that, it's like they just sell the place out and they blow the thing away in Brooklyn or whatever, and then they come to like Atlanta or Jacksonville and haven't quite heard of them yet. There's a few people that are like the early wavers that are on it, but you don't get those like people tumbling across the stage and all that kind of.
Yeah, but that's kind of good too. 'Cause sometimes you get to enjoy a show without it just being too mad and kind of crazy. And
right.
It's also, but New York is a tough scene too. It's like people kind of, because they go to a lot of shows. Sometimes they have some sort of high standards and it can be a little snooty or something. But if you want the people to go crazy at a show, the way to make it happen is you just got to do it. You got to just go and, with a big smile on your face, start freaking jumping around and going crazy. And, people will join you. But that's that kind of thing I always say, too. It's like if you want bands to play an encore, just don't shut up at the end of the show. Just get you and all your friends to just scream your heads off, and they'll be forced to come out and play again,
I like it. I think I'm going to end on that, too, because I do have a tendency to go on. I could probably talk to you here forever, but I want to get this on the radio and on the podcast like today. And
awesome, right on.
And I'll let you know when everything is up. I'll shoot you an email.
Awesome. Well, definitely come and say hi in Austin.
Absolutely. I plan on being at the Barracuda like that for that whole show with everybody that's playing that day. So I'd love to meet you and.
Awesome.
Yeah, man.
Right on.
I'm looking forward to getting some photographs of you guys and hearing you for the first time live.
Right on. Heck yeah. Well, cool, man. We'll have a safe travel down over there and see you over there.
Yeah, man. You too. Have a great one, man. Cool. And thank you so much for talking to me.
You got it. No problem, dude.
All right. Bye.
Have a good one, man. Bye.